This building has such a dark and wicked history that once they discovered what was on the property, it left a devastating imprint on the state of Ohio. Viewer discretion is advised. In the year 1828, in the small town of Lancaster, Ohio, the Fairfield County Home, which was a wooden structure at the time, had opened their doors to help all types of residents that were considered as outcasts from society, which would include people that suffered from mental disorders to alcoholism. The brick building that stands today was constructed in 1840, and due to the overwhelming residents that poured in, overcrowded the infirmary. So they expanded the building even more in 1865, along with constructing a few other smaller buildings that surrounded the property that would serve for various purposes, such as doing laundry, a tenant house, storage, and farming facilities. In fact, a farm was established across the road from the infirmary. By doing this would help with the growing amount of residents that were moving in. By 1917, the farm made enough money by selling crops and livestock that they were able to put in natural gas lines in the infirmary to help provide lighting and heating for its residents. Then, not too long after that, in 1926, water lines were provided into the building, so after being operated for almost 100 years, they were able to have water inside the building, which was a big help. But they weren't able to have electricity inside until 1958. This 41,000 square foot building is constructed with 4 floors, with 75 rooms, and with a couple of jail-like cells on one of the floors, which gives a very eerie feeling to it. This building even has a dumbwaiter, which a dumbwaiter is like a small elevator that would bring up and down food or other items to the other floors, even having its own morgue with 2 walk-in freezers, where it looked like they would preserve the bodies. Now, this is where things took an unfortunate turn. The infirmary had a small cemetery on the property where residents that died would be buried. Most were unmarked and unnamed graves, but this is where it gets strange. Later on, once the infirmary closed its doors for good in 1985, they were surveying the land with ground radars to probably detect underground lines when they came across a mass body of graves, even those of children that were buried by the hundreds, so close together that they were even stacked vertically up and down. They have found over 1,200 bodies that were in the mass graves. This was such an impact on the state of Ohio. As they did some digging, they could not find provable evidence of what exactly happened and why so many died around the same time. Only speculations could be made by hearing from a few people that were there towards the end, and events that had happened that caused this place to finally shut down, which the remainder of the residents would call themselves the last inmates of the Fairfield County Infirmary. What was thought by people to be groundbreaking treatments and practices back when the infirmary was in full operation and at full capacity turned out to be very dark and sinister. The facility was cruel and had evil punishments to these unknowing patients. Many times this led to disfigurements and health complications. Other times this led to many deaths, all by those who lied and deceived their patients by portraying safety and cures. There has also been tales of abuse and mistreatment as the facility lost its funding, which led to deaths by patients not being fed right and by injuries like infected cuts and scrapes. They would even separate the women from the men, and the children would stay with their mothers, and the fathers were not allowed to see their wives or children. It is also said that the 4th floor, or the attic per se, would be used as a dungeon, where a patient was found chained to the wall and starving. Also, right before the close of the infirmary, they had found maggots in one of the cuts in a patient's foot, which this was said to be the final straw and was made public, and the Fairfield County Infirmary were forced to shut their doors. And the last 16 patients were either moved to a different facility or released into the public. These types of treatments seem to show the darkness and evil nature of the doctors and nurses. even if they knew or did not realize they were performing it. This devastating line of events left an imprint on the building and the form of a dark and disturbing past. Still to this day, the mystery remains. Why were there mass graves? And why did so many children were buried together? And what exactly happened behind the closed doors of the Fairfield infirmary? After the tragic events, the building was remodeled and used for government offices, and then later on, ironically, as the county health department. By 2011, the building was in such bad shape and would cost $4 million in repairs to bring the building up to code. The health facility moved, and the building sat abandoned for a while until February 2020, when the building was purchased by Adam Kimmel, who allows tours, photography sessions, and private explores and ghost hunts. Okay guys, that will do it for today's history. If you liked today's video, please hit that thumbs up. If you're new to the channel, welcome. Please subscribe and hit that bell so you never miss a video. Peace, I love you, and until next time, God bless.